7 Weeks' War or Austro-Prussian War. Let us go back in time to the year 1866. At that time, Germany was not one country. It was divided into many small states. Two powerful countries wanted to control these German states, Austria and Prussia. Austria had been the leader of the German states for many years. But Prussia was growing stronger day by day. It had factories, railways, and a modern army. Behind Prussia stood a clever man named Otto von Bismarck. He believed that Germany could be united only by strength, not by speeches. Austria wanted a Germany that included Austrian lands. Prussia wanted a Germany without Austria, under Prussian leadership. Then came a small problem that became a big excuse for war: Schleswig and Holstein. After defeating Denmark in 1864, Austria and Prussia ruled these areas together. Soon, they began to quarrel over who should control them. Bismarck used this quarrel cleverly. He made sure that France and Russia stayed neutral, and Italy supported Prussia. Now Austria stood alone. 1 to 7 June 1866. The Schleswig-Holstein crisis deepens. By early June 1866, relations between Austria and Prussia had completely deteriorated. Over the administration of Schleswig and Holstein, Austria accused Prussia of violating the joint agreement of 1864, while Prussia-Austria of encouraging German nationalism against Prussian interests. Otto von Bismarck deliberately escalated the debate by ending Prussian troops in Schwig and mobilizing forces near Holstein. This move was calculated to provoke Ostida Arto, a diplomatic or military response. 8 June 1856. Prussian troop enter Holstein. On June, Prussian forces formally enter Holstein, which was administered by Austria. This act was legally controversial and politically aggressive. Austria protested strongly and absaled to the German Confederation. Ungling that Prussia had violated territorial law, Bismarck anticipated this reaction and was prepared to exploit it. June 10, 1866. Austria appeals to the German Confederation. Austria formally requested the German Confederation to mobilize against Prussia. There was a critical turning point. Bismarck declared that the Confederation had ceased to exist, arguing that it had become an instrument of Austro-dance. This legal claim provided Prussia with justification to treat the conflict as a revolutionary restructuring of German politics rather than a rebellion. June 14, 1866. German Confederation votes against Prussia. On June 14, the Federal Diet of the German Confederation voted in favor of mahiting troops against Prussia. This vote effectively triggered what Prussia unilaterally declared the Confederation dissolved and began military operation against German states allied with Austria, including Hanover, Saxony, Bavaria, and Württemberg. 15 to 20 June 1866. Formal outbreak and rapid Prussian offensive between the 15th and the 20th of June 1866. The conflict transformed from a diplomatic crisis into a full-scale war after the Gentian Confederation voted against Prussia on June 14. Bismarck immediately declared the Confederation dissolved, arguing that it had become an instrument of Austrian domination. This legal justification allowed Prussia to treat the war not as rebellion but restructuring of German politics. Prussian forces were mobilized with exceptional speed under the leadership of General Helmuth von Moltke, whose railway-based mobilization plans allowed troops to reach strategic points faster than any European army had done before. During these days, Prussia launched coordinated attacks against German states allied with Austria, Hanover, Saxony, and Hesse-Kassel. The Kingdom of Hanover attempted to mobilize independently but lacked coordination and modern logistics. By June 20th, Hanoverian forces were encircled and forced to outmaneuver, a shocking event that demonstrated Prussia's military superiority. Saxony was occupied with minimal resistance, and its army retreated to join Austrian forces in Bohemia. These early victories destroyed Austria's common support base even before the main Austro-Prussian confrontation began, decisively tilting the balance of power in Prussia's favor. 21 to 25 June 1866. Expansion of the war and strategic overstretch of Austria. From 21 to June 25, the war expanded geographically and strategically. Austria now faced a multiple-front conflict, a situation it was if prepared to manage. The main theater of war shifted toward Bohemia, where Austria's forces under Face Marshal Ludwig von Benedek concentrated to resist the Prussian advance. At the same time, Italy declared war on Austria, opening a southern front aimed at capturing Venetia. Although Italy performed poorly in early engagements, its involvement forced Austria to divert troops away from the decisive northern front. Meanwhile, Prussia continued consolidating control over northern Germany. Moltke's strategy emphasized speed, decentralization, and independent initiative by commanders' principles that contrasted sharply with Austria's rigid command structure. Austrian intelligence failures during this phase critical Benedek underestimated both the speed and coordination of Prussian arms. These days marked the moment when Austria touted strategic initiative, becoming reactive rather than proactive, while Prussia steadily tightened its operational grip. 27 to 29 June 1866. Prussian advance into Bohemia and missed Austrian opportunities. Between the 27th and the 29th of June, three separate Prussian armies, the First Army, Second Army, and Elbe Army, advanced into Bohemia from different directions. This maneuver risky, as the Prussian forces were initially separated and vulnerable to defeat in detail. However, Austrian command heartency proved fatal. Benedek failed to exploit this opportunity due to poor reconnaissance, slow decision-making, and lack of confidence in his troops. While the several minor engagements occurred during this period, including clashes at Trotterna and Nacked, which revealed both strengths and weaknesses of Prussian attack, Prussians suffered localized setbacks. Their superior weaponry, the Dreyse needle gun, allowed infantry units to recover quickly. By the 29 June, Prussian armies were converging toward Königgrätz, setting the stage for a decisive confrontation. These days were crucial because Austria still had a theoretical chance to change the war's outwork but failed to act decisively. 1 to 2 July 1866. Strategic maneuvering before the decisive battle. Days the 1st and the 2nd of July were marked by intense maneuvering. Said preparation. Austrian foemies took up defensive positions near Königgrätz, Zadova, believing they could repel Prussian attacks using superior numbers. Benedek chose a defensive posture but failed to anticipate the rapid convergence of Prussia's Second Army under Crown Prince Frederick William. Heavy rain, poor roads, and confusion within Austrian command slowed troop movements and weakened coordination. Prussian commanders, meanwhile, relied on decentralized command and rapid communication. Moltke's strategy aimed to delay full engagement until all Prussian forces could unite. On July 2nd, reconnaissance reports confirmed Austrian positions, and final orders were issued. These 2 days were critical psychologically. Austrian troops were uncertain and exhausted, while Prussian soldiers, confident in their weapons and leadership, prepared for decisive combat. The outcome of war now depended on a single battle. July 3, 1966. Battle of Königgrätz, the turning point. The Battle of Königgrätz on July 3, 1866 was the decisive turning point of the war and the most important battles of 19th century Europe. Fighting began in the early morning as Prussian forces engaged Austrian positions. Austrian troops relied on massed infantry attacks and traditional tactics, while Prussian soldiers used the needle gun to devastating effect, firing rapidly from covered positions. By midday, Austrian forces were holding but suffering heavy casualties. The decisive moment came in the afternoon when the Prussian Second Army ambushed unexpectedly on the battlefield, attacking the Austrian flank. This destroyed Austrian defensive coherence. Panic spread and retreat turned into disorder. Austria suffered enormous casualties, men and morale. Strategically, the battle ended any possibility of Austrian victory. Politically, it confirmed Prussia as the dominant German power. After this day, the war's outcome was no longer in doubt. 4 to 10 July, Retreat and disintegration. Austrian armies retreated toward Vienna. Morale collapsed. Bismarck insisted on halting further advances, fearing that excessive humiliation would provoke French or Russian
Intervention.
12 to 22 July armistice negotiations.
Austria sought an armistice.
Despite military pressure to continue, Bismarck persuaded King Wilhelm to negotiate peace quickly. This decision was crucial in preventing long-term hostility between Austria and Prussia. August 23, 1866. Treaty of Prague and diplomatic resolution. On August 23, 1866, the Treaty of Prague formally ended the 7 weeks' war despite overwhelming victory. Bismarck insisted on a moderate peace settlement. Austria was excluded from German political affairs but was not territorially dismantled or humiliated. This restraint was deliberate and strategic. Bismarck wanted to prevent future Austrian hostility and avoid provoking intervention by France or Russia. Under the treaty, the German Confederation was dissolved. Prussia annexed Hanover, Nassau, Hesse-Kassel. The North German Confederation was formed in 1867. Italy received Venetia. This date marked not just the end of a war but the beginning of Prussia's leadership in German unification. Diplomacy here was as important as military victory, illustrating Bismarck's mastery of realpolitik.